Nightmare Daymare. The night birds constantly crossed over the town where I had fallen asleep, probably because of the waves in Anji Kawajiri. The voice of the fifth-ranked night heron, who was surprised and unsophisticated, was sometimes a strangely gloomy, slightly cold sky rainy season night. This is the only house that is awake. A willow thread that draws stripes with a bow, and yellow light leaking through an oil shoji screen, in a horizontal window on a town corner filled with blue things. On the eaves, there was a three-shaka bill called Horikawa Kaisho. And from the inside, while opening the door and stepping on, there are many tsujijiri, be careful. The 4 or 5 patrols, the town officials, and the lanterns of the Nishi Gyosho were the first to disappear to Tsuji on the other side of Hidehita. After that, occasionally, the throat clearing was done from the inside, and it was finally the time when the world forest was over. Tonight, there are shadows of 2 people standing in front of the meeting place. In both cases, you can see the bare waraji in the dew shade, the one drop from the hem of the feather, and the door steadily with your waist. Yes, I'd like to ask you a little. Who is it? Thank you, I'm awake. Whisper to the back companion and open the partition. Inside, there is a floor of 3 tatami mats on 2 tsubo of soil, a lantern box with a town sign, a 6-shaka stick, a book, household tools, and one father is standing lonely. What by now? Kairoku, a member of the Kaisho Mamoru, who was licking a nightcap with a tin liquor bottle on his desk, stared at him as he came in. You're a traveler. Hey, actually, I arrived at Kimura Tsutsumi on a Yodojuku ship, but I forgot something and killed my unexpected time at a wholesaler. Oh, there's something wrong with it. It's a complaint that you can't stay in any of the Hatago. Show me your own ticket, refuse to accept 4-time customers, or because it's your first time in Osaka today, why don't you poke through Keto? It's natural, the town rules are also good. I'm sorry I didn't come to ask you for a scolding. I'm afraid that the inn and, in addition to that, I have 1 Hatago. Okay, I'll give you an inn, but... said Kiroku, who took on a role and reviewed the style of the 2. I'll ask you, but where do you live? In Amato, Asakusa, Edo. This is the boss Jingoro Karakusa, and I'm the dry portion of Machi Nursery. Oh, it's Bakuchi Echi. Well, there is a magnificent signboard for the world. It's a kiln made of arabesque tiles used in a daimyo mansion, and since there are many people in the room, half of it must be that way. From the "what are you talking about" side, Jingoro pushed away and replaced Taichi. If you let me talk, I'm sorry for being a lonely guy. Especially in the middle of the night, I'm sorry to trouble you. Looking at I don't like it, what should I do? He is a young but sober man, calm and personal. There, let's just ask where to go. Hiroku also changed politely. The target goes to the territory of Awa, Shikoku. To Awa? With a slightly difficult face. For about 10 years, the Hachisuka family has hated the entry of other territories, and it is said that they can rarely enter the castle unless they are a very good source or a guide for the family. But I'm sorry for the inconvenience. That's right. I don't like it until then. I'll give you an inn right now, so take it to Watanabe Suji in Okawa Minami, and stay at Dobashi a piece. Peel off the sheet and put on a brush. At that time, the shadow of a suspicious woman. I crouched down on the side of the well next to the meeting place and listened. She had a white profile, and when I thought she stood in the darkness. Thank you very much. The door opened with the voice inside, and the light came quickly. Immediately, the magical charm of a woman with a hood is disappearing quickly. Oh, wait, Kairoku, the guardian of the meeting place, hurriedly stopped the 2 going out. What is it? When Karakusa Jingoro called back to the start of Inui, and casually looked back. Be careful, it's a noisy time limit. Hizuroku of the meeting place imitated his hand, and made a slapstick, unpleasantly whispering attention. Tsujijiri ka when Taichi receives it with his nose. Don't listen to this as a joke, he scolded. I saw this way here, and in the story of the patrol officer, he was a samurai who wasn't trying a sword and was killed every night. When you look at it, it seems that you are a master of swordsmanship. Thank you. Jingoro politely gave a nod and started walking quickly. Follow the route taught, turn west from Horikawa to the banks of Okawa. The bank of Izumi was broken, and the willow tree that seemed to be garbled in some places, one lantern in the dark sky, and the fire lookout tower of Dojima Kaichi were at least one blink of the world. Boss Taichi leaned to the side to catch up. I told him something wrong with my old man, so my spine got a little cold. Oh, you had a cool face with Hunt Sujajiri, or a while ago. That's because of Kanto's illness. The one who thinks he won't come out wants to come out anyway. Taichi, I'll ask for your skill from now on. Surakame, it's a good idea. First of all, it seems that my boss has reached. Why? Because I'm going to have a lot of money on my way for a long time to the bastion of such a time. No, I'm buying that much honesty. Don't get stuck, I'm spending a little money on a small amount from tomorrow. When I got over Yodoyabashi while hitting a wasteful mouth, I could see the white walls of the Tosabori area, and the Kuriyashiki, which made me feel a little reassured. There is. I didn't know the two of them, but the shadow of the woman in the hood, who was lurking behind the Horikawa Kaisho, unknowingly followed her and pulled a suspicious thread. Oh? I suddenly shrugged at the bridge over the bridge. Boss, someone will come, I'm going. It's no wonder people come. Don't be afraid, cowards. But keep your eyes moistened. Don't worry. While laughing, when I stepped forward, I saw the sound of rubbing the snow from the darkness of the riverbank. When I approached her, I looked at her in a larger size and found her to be a samurai. You shouldn't be able to see it clearly, and you can see the black top and bottom of the hood, and the hood with deep eyebrows up to the face. At that time, from around the Horiki to Maiwa, the three cities, hoods were all the rage: men's hoods, Okazaki hoods, Hidetsuru hoods, Kosho hoods, cats and hoods were all like this. It's no longer just a cold thing, with a hood. The black crepe hood, which rang the seta, and now passed by Jingoro's left sideways, gently wiped off the footwear, and the root of the tree after passing 5 or 6 kens. I pushed it too. The haori that was thrown away was fluffy, and on top of it. When I thought about it, I crouched down to the darkness where I passed through my twin eyes. The wax-colored scabbard was higher than my shoulders and bent backwards, chasing after me, but no sound was heard. His right hand was stiff and digged into the sword's thread, including the waist and breadth of a sword. Guian swell forward. I thought I shouldn't cut it, but maybe I thought Jingoro's back posture was a little tough, so I didn't pull it out there for another or 2 minutes. Then, in some cases, at Tosabori at your feet, Doborn. It was a pure white Mizukamuri, and suddenly it was covered with terrible polka dots. It was Taichi who was waiting for milk that made a noise. Rather than that, I noticed the god of death behind me. Boss, I pushed Jingoro away, and I also flew in the air. Che! A samurai who struck his tongue and returned, and when he looked up at Yodoyabashi, a beautiful woman with her face wrapped in a salt shape attached her cheeks to the hand column of the bridge and smiled over here. I laughed. The samurai of the Toya had approached his shadow with the momentum of return, but the woman on the bridge was clear with her elbows on the parapet. She looked like an unfamiliar hood, and she noisily unraveled, rolled it up and dumped it into the river. By the way, the breeze coming from below, and the hair of her hood collapsed boxwood are roughly combed with the rough teeth of boxwood, and put sideways as it is. Woman. It's a terrifying voice. Needless to say, the insects will not fit in the place of the current samurai, the one who escaped. AI, do you mean me? The collared maiden with a small sword included a little laughter, and it was cool in the summer. What was known? Why did you disturb me? Did you get in the way? Right now, I've thrown a stone in, so I brought in a fly that I missed. You knew it forever. You know 100, you're a crepe, but Sujajiri earning arigoto dash, that's why I put in a horizontal spear. Was it bad? What? They are a waste of amateur work like you. You should change the riverbank somewhere. Wom, did you put that on? It's also from Eno. Put your hand on your chest to see if you'll be kidnapped from the side, and bury the place you've been wearing so far in Sugoroku. I could read it, by the way. I was cheating on the way or the badger game. No, it's still a stand-up, and if you're a business person, remember that it's a reward for pickpocketing. Oh, Atsuna. Oh, you know me. When I went to Edo 2 years ago, I met Toya Sunbei a couple of times. Well, she laughed and came to me, then it's been a little overwhelming. I wish I could go early. Well, this one is overstepping. Even so, I've been out a lot. Because the work is a little big. Is there a prospect? I'm sorry, Atsuna-san. When I talked about it, my mouth was innocent and glossy, and somehow, it was Kunisada's skin. It is strange to think that this beauty works by pinching a broken razor between your fingers, even at Toya in front of you. Hey, I'm inadvertently fascinated. I turned my eyes away from the joke, but at the same time, the color was dazzling. Oh, it looks like the lanterns of the patrol officials will come again from the other side. Yeah, it's noisy, he said. If you run away, don't worry about me. What's wrong? I'm ready, he beckoned Atsuna, and looked under the bridge, in a low voice. She called it Miyoshi Dash. There was no reply, but instead, a man with a sword pointer, and a cheek crown that came out with gi moved silently. By the time the lanterns of the officials arrived, the sword-pointed ship carrying Atsuna and Sunbei, Horigiri, was turned south, and the turret-powered Kiza River was descending with Sasa. The place where I went up was Sumiyoshi Village, a wealthy house painted in red in the forest enclosure. Miyoshi, that is, the main, but I do not know what kind of business it is. I got out of the hot spring, filled my hunger, and talked, and the dawn dawned. First of all, I would like to thank you tonight. When you work with our fellow Crate Myrtle, Pui and Hayakuri, and 200 Ri will fly from the spot. Occasionally come to Edo to take a break. Hongo wife Koi One Chom, there is a Crate Myrtle in the gate fence, and you can easily tell that it is the young artist of the flower artist. Yeah, that is my incarnation. At 10 nights, Atsuna went to bed for lunch that day. The next night, I started to take a nap at night. I see, I can't get married with this. When I think about it, it's the 4th or 5th day. In the morning bath, put on heavy makeup, sprinkle enji, and remake the hair and costume in return. She opened the umbrella of Patten and Kantosa, and went out of Sumiyoshi Village. A good dormitory who couldn't think of a pickpocket, whether he was going from the vertical or the horizontal, what he was looking for. The Hyokechi area of Shitanoji Temple, and the peach fields up to this point, are like scooping Dotonbori with a hut. The weather was good, the plum blossoms were in the wind of Nobori, and Kitaban was calling out to the feet. Suji no, Bungobushi standing signboard, with the impersonator troupe of the famous Kachahachi at the top. Looking at the open air, Shitaken opened in the Edo Upsong Dokuraku. If you think so, there are also swallowing sticks, candy blowers, vidra work, and spectacles of sumo wrestlers and bears. Come on, I don't like it. There is a Nagasaki Nanjing magic trick. Taya-san, Tsubaki-san, Rinku-san, javelin throw, set fire and go through the basket. No lie on the signboard. Because it was unusual for a Chinese person to be there, there were a lot of people before this. It's going to change, it's a sloppy entry, should I take a peek at it? But wait. While being rubbed, I was at a loss because of the many cities of waiting milk with a hat on my neck, and one hand was used to prevent people, but one hand kept the front of my pocket. His boss, Jingoro, is still visiting the Kuriyashiki and Shimoyashiki in Hachisuka. For example, because I entered Awa, I had to get a Sekabian bill to piggyback on and an immigration stamp. Submitting an application, having an identity, getting a proof of a 5-member group, going through a search in Shiresu, a lot of work. Originally it was only Sekabian bills. It wasn't so strict. There is a reason for that. Gaze at the Tokugawa shogunate, the isolated country of Awa. That's why Jingoro had a job, and it was a secret area that I wanted to cross even if I pushed it. To the last, Tai Chi was useless, and he was told to follow me with a bra, but in her pocket she has a little heavy deposit and care for her posterity, so I feel like enjoying it from the beginning. Cannot become. Oops, that's not the case. If something happened, what would happen to honest Tai Chi, who had been offering with his eyes, he finally gave up Nanjing magic tricks and started walking. And when I tried to approach the side of Seijaman, among the worshippers who were spit out from inside the tower gate, he screams ah. When she sees it, she is an elegant lady. She was rubbed and she fluttered. Hey! Involuntarily supporting, Tai Chi put out his hand, and Pawn and a sun umbrella came. The woman's body, like a bird of paradise, squeezes her breasts and slips behind her. Ah if! Tai Chi called, grabbing the umbrella left in her hand. The woman is already 5 or 6. She was just a sprint, but she turned around and she smiled. It seems that the smile was ridiculously gorgeous, and saw the stage face of Kakunasuk in the light. If this, an umbrella? The woman nodded in the distance. It's okay. That. I felt it tasted, but I still can't understand it. Hey, I have a woman, I'm having trouble getting rid of it when I get it, she noticed for the first time when she moved. 2 bleached cotton spills out of her own pocket. A razor cut that splits a double-wrapped belly band into a vertical blade. Ah! Livestock. Swinging her upside-down umbrella and changing her eyes, Tai Chi, who had changed her eyes, started to run straight. It's a pickpocket, it's a pickpocket. Shibo. Shibo. She doesn't know if it's a human voice or her own voice. Around the Shiman Karaman, I ran around the Shikido Garan like madness. At the beginning of the encounter, a man who bumped into me in front of the cat gate. Hey, wait, she took her pelvic girdle lightly. That's not it. Well, calm down, it's important to make arrangements, so when you get up and make a noise, you're rarely caught. What the hell are you? This is it. There are 10 hands of combo. When I heard memorandum, Tai Chi shook off what he thought, and then diverted again. It's a strange guy, I made an arrangement, but it wasn't right. Hatena? Mankichi, who had a good eye, drew some illusions and started walking around. The temple tower is faintly blurred, and white paper scraps are flying in the dusk of the unpopular Tennoji temple. One sun umbrella had fallen, a torn umbrella with a woman. It was Mankichi who picked it up and stood at the west gate. Here the woman went like this, and gave Pong and the man an umbrella for the momentum. But for what purpose? Ah, let's open our hands and aim at both the body and the mind. Is it? With a gesture, he constantly thinks about people's stories and the scene. Then, it's a pickpocket in the upper part of this guy, it's a pickpocket of Eno. It's not a small grain, but the stolen guy has changed. Why did he run away from me? This guy might be more of a story than that. Take an umbrella and go out to the loophole. I promised to go back to Sakai, the town of Sakai, and to the inside of the island, but I changed my mind and walked back to see Tomajiro in the 5 turrets. Oh, what about that man? On the way, Mankichi's facial muscles pinned. An unmistakable, tired and sloppy shadow in the many cities of waiting milk rushed into the Hatago Dobukia in Watanabe town. Mankichi sneaked from behind when he took a break. He crouched down in the tool room under the ladder, staring at the Lord's piece, saying, I'm sorry. I've been staying for 6 days, this is my lodging book, which one? I flipped over and pinched my earlobe. It was a habit that Mankichi often did when thinking about something painful. What is Jingoro with you? I used to go to Hachisuka-sama's role every day to take a bill, because I was supposed to enter Awa, but it seemed that I couldn't get a stamp, so I came back early today. Well, rent a little upstairs. Yes, I'm sorry. It's like a second room. I went up the back ladder, and went to the next room, gently looking at the details, and lying down like an eel. Jingoro Karakusa said, Tai Chi, don't worry about that. I think I did it flashy overnight, 300 Rio are cheap, and I ordered the road silver with a quick hit. But the important letter requested by Chiesama, I sewed it to the collar of the skirt separately. I should have been there. Well, my boss used to say that, but I just kept it with the paper case. What for the first time, make a little color. Then, was Oki-sama's letter scooped up with you? This guy is very weak, he said. What if my boss? Taichi said, I lost that on my next trip to Shikoku, and even though Okisama's father was alive, it's worth coming all the way to Taichi. I also know, to apologize for stepping on the clumsiness, I will return to Edo without night and day, and I will send you a letter from Chie again, so please keep the insects in check. Oh, it's best if you don't have that energy. Let's do it. In fact, the piggyback ride on the Sekibun is finally ruined today. Well, why don't you get a stamp with Atwa? It's a tough idiot, and if you're not good at it, you're likely to be distracted by this secret. So I'm going to change the road from Sanuki to Awa over the mountains, and I'm going to Tadatsu ahead of me. Immediately received another copy from Okisama, because that is the next eye. If that happens, I'll jump out right away. Well, I wish I could stand up early in Akatsuki. At one point, I thought I was dead and apologized, but it's nothing like a gourd to grind my body. When I regained my mind, the Edo people went on. Taichi suddenly became energetic, clapping his hands with pom-poms. Oh, sister, no matter who you are, it's a hurry to stand up at night, squeeze rice balls in the grass. In the meantime, Mankichi and Taunton came down. On your way home occasionally, while holding a hikyaku wrap that was thrown into the counter grid, when peace was sent there, Mankichi quickly shone his eyes. What's the current 3-time shop? Hey, with the hikyaku that arrived at the customer. When I took it, I found that it was a tongue oil paper, Jingoro Karakusa on the top, and the name of the sender was small on the back, from a woman who goes and goes. I'll open the seal with your help. Plump. The thing that slipped off the cut hemp thread was a large paper case made of Indian leather, which was exactly the item that was scooped up in Taichi. Mankichi, who laughed bitterly, said, I'm a woman who looks bad. Recalling that I heard that Edo's pickpocket temperament has a kind of fashionable temperament, and a strong sense of duty that other thieves do not have. Ha, that's the writing method, he nodded. In a hurry, I re-examined the paper case that came out of the hikyaku wrapping, and as expected, there was no money, but a letter was lurking inside. The double seal of durable raw paper, but the seal was torn. It seems that Atsuna read it. It's already been 10 years since your father entered Awa, and played with him. In Yanagi, based on the secret role law, the father who has not returned to Japan for 10 years is regarded as dead, and the Koba family since Gongen is finally approaching the day of disconnection. The meaning is the writing of this letter, and as the traces of the flowing woman unraveled in order, Mankichi's fundus became tinged with strange light. Chia has become 19, and I, who is not a man, can't do anything about the decree of the extinct family. However, I cannot believe that my father, who broke up at the time of 9, is still alive. I don't think he died in a dream. There, his nanny's older brother, Jingoro Karakusa, takes this letter and joins Awa for his life. Fortunately, if you can get this, the disconnection of the Koba family can slightly extend its lifeline. When I read this far, Mankichi's chest jumped like a virgin. He also has a case of lie down and firewood for 10 years. He found a dawn on it. The house that calls itself Koka in Edo is the Sumi Mansion in Surugudai, and Zimi Motokiyo, who is said to be a secret group of Soke. Yum Zimi, who entered Awa 10 years ago, is missing. This guy is not another person. When I shine my eyes and follow the next letter, I hear the sound of the ladder steps. From the second floor, Arabesque Jingoro sent Taichi down. Oh, I'm ready. The Lord's piece and heads are sent side by side in front of the counter grid. Mankichi quickly hid himself behind the ladder, holding a letter. Then, be careful, said Jingoro. Taichi is energetic, holding a sudakasa over the road. Then, my boss, I will go. I will meet at the port of Tadatsu without worrying about the road. I left the light of the clay brush shop later. Mankichi also pierced the sandals from the back, and ran through the side street, with many groove plates. It's a little pity to bring that man back to Edo for this one letter, no matter how cold it is. I'll talk about the situation and return it, but there are plenty of things I want to know. I have to ask. Mr. Tsuniki, Mr. Tawara, and I, who is grateful to me, are the secrets of Awa's lifelong work. Oh I started to hurry. Mankichi also left Harari, and the storehouse, after seeing Taichi, who had passed the town street. In exchange for a letter was written to explore the circumstances of entering Awa and the body of Zimi Monokyo. I'm still conspicuous in this area, but I walked to a place that was a little lonely, and tonight, I didn't do the bad things that I had escaped from at Tennoji. In addition, passing in front of the Higashi Gyosho, in front of the Kyobashi exit, there are more than 8 pine trees. The loneliness of the custom. I tried to call him the people of Edo, but I still had a fear of escaping, so when Mankichi started catching up little by little, it ended up to the shadow of Taichi, who went forward by a pair. Something suddenly flashed in blue. It jumped from the side and flowed low. Suddenly, it was the voice of Taichi. He seemed to be slashed and seemed to suffer, and ran away from the Kyobashi embankment. I saw a silver snake swimming in the waves, chasing the shadow. Of course, the sharp point of the sword, the second sword seemed to move, and at once, Taichi became absorbed in it, and jumped into the river wave of Tenma. I heard a tongue-in-cheek saying cha. The scent of blood drifting in the darkness hits Poon. Burning. Mankichi's eyes became brilliant, and the 5 bodies shook. Is it quick to grab something tightly in his right hand and bend down? Just jumping with go. As far as his arm was thrown, the Naijo Fuki Hojo Jitsu wraps around the darkness around the figure of the Toya hood. But the other hand is not surprised. Wrap the entwined rope to the left and quietly. Sassy minions.